Welcome back to the Real Couchwives podcast, where we overanalyze all things Bravo.
By now, you've probably heard that Vanderpump Rules is officially on pause. It will not be picking back up filming in May. So we're going to talk about why we think this is happening and why we think it actually might be a bit of a good thing, even though pause is traditionally a little bit of a trigger word in the Bravo universe.
I don't know what you could be referring to there, Carrie.
Yeah, maybe don't talk to a Dorinda Medley about it from New York City.
Don't even try. I kind of can't believe that they took this step and decided to actually put Vanderpump Rules on pause. But I am really kind of relieved that they've done this. I think that this is going to be so crucial in making sure that they can set up next season better than they set up this season, because clearly the whole Scandoval of it all just did not pan out the way that they thought it would.
No, totally. Honestly, I am surprised as well, but maybe they've been listening to the fan reactions to the show. I think we definitely understand what got us here. It's just I think some people are getting a little bit scared just because sometimes paused is a nice way of saying fired or canceled, but they have come out and said it's not canceled. So this officially came out from TMZ that said they were going to give the cast a little bit of a break and let their lives breathe in the wake of Scandoval, as you said, which has consumed a lot of the current season and has run dry at this point. This is the article's words, not mine, but I would definitely agree. Producers wanted to let the cast do their own thing for a little bit without jumping right back into the summer of filming, all in the hopes that by the time they come back and shoot, they'll have some big developments and drama to capture. Now, I don't know about you, but this reads to me as we've made a horrible mistake. We have put all of our money on the wrong horse. It did not land the way we thought it was going to land. And if we continue down this path, there's nowhere else to go with the show.
That's just it. And I think for picking up season 11, I think they really thought that they were going to be able to kind of get Tom Sandoval coming back from Special Forces, Rachel coming back from the mental health facility, Ariana kind of obviously still in the throes of kind of being, the wronged woman, the scorned woman, whatever.
Violent rage, as Andy said.
Yeah, I know. Violent rage is apparently violent. Anyways.
We're going to talk about that. Don't you worry.
We'll get there. And yeah, exactly. And then having the cast kind of fully come back together after this time. And I think that they thought that they were going to capture something quite unique and quite special. And I don't think they were wrong about that, but it just did not pan out, right? Rachel didn't come back. Tom was not trying to actually redeem himself despite what he says. And Ariana was just well, it was fine. I have no qualms with Ariana's performance.
No notes for Ariana. Well, that's just it. I feel like they just it was such a not Scandoval. That wasn't our we've talked about this a little bit. Our problem was never that it focused on Scandoval. Obviously that's what it was going to focus on. It was more that we really felt like they were trying very hard to give Tom this redemption arc. Yes. And everyone was bought into that except for Ariana and Katie. And this man has just shown zero growth. He's continuing to go on podcasts and just throw Ariana under the bus, take zero accountability. This most recent episode is the first time, and we're almost at the finale, that he said that Ariana did nothing wrong and she didn't deserve this.
Yeah.
And how much of that do we even believe?
Well, that's just it. And it only came out because of the fact that Sheena was the one confronting him about it, right? Yeah. There's no way that if he was ever in a conversation with Ariana in that moment, that he would have, I just don't think that he would have ever admitted. But he needed to admit something like that to Sheena, I feel so that she'd kind of be able to let him back into her good graces.
Yeah, it really, I don't understand it. And it's actually so sad too, because even Ariana on Watch What Happens Live was I thought that we were the Spice Girls, me and the girls, I thought we were this united front. And then I look at the filming and the things that they're saying behind my back. And it's just can you imagine? We had this season set up so beautifully. We had so much girl power.
Yeah.
We did rant a lot about this in our last episode, so I won't go into it too much further, but just why? Why?
I know. Well, and I know that we've talked about it as well before, but the way that they could have executed an actual Tom Sandoval redemption arc, right? If you are going to go full on Scandoval, let's rehabilitate this dude's image. He would have had to actually be a real willing participant in it. But then also we needed the conversation that we had between Ariana and Brock this episode needed to be the conversation between Brock and Sandoval this episode, where it's like Brock is like, hey, why are you always asking Ariana these things that you know are gonna like make her annoyed and like trigger her? Like maybe you don't need to do that. But that's not gonna be the conversation with Brock and Sandoval.
Yeah.
Like, but as Ariana very rightly points out, it's not about, male rage. Nobody has any problems when male rage is happening. But as soon as female rage is happening, it's like, oh,
It's so
yeah.
true. They're like, she's like, because everyone keeps telling her, like, get over it, which is just so rich from a group of people who literally keep talking about things that happened 10 years ago. Like, the reason that Sheena wants to keep Tom Sandoval in her life is because he was nice to her 10 years ago when they were taking photos.
Ago.
Like,
Literally.
like, there's actually a point in the last episode where she's like, you were the only person who stuck by me, like, through all these years. And it's like, the only...
It's just
what?
not even true. Like, I just don't even understand the number of years that this woman has pretended that she and Ariana are best friends. And it's just like, okay.
And that was the one of the friendships that like really did stand a lot of the tests of time. Like, I don't, anyways, it's very sad. Coming out of it, especially, it doesn't look like they're really that good friends anymore. And I think it's so sad, and it really didn't have to be this way. But yeah, it's so frustrating. And then the other part too that just didn't land this season is like, not only are they redeeming Sandoval, but they're villainizing Ariana. And to me, I think this was the detriment. I think this was the part that we can't get past. We're like, okay, sure. I mean, not sure. I don't understand why we had to like give this man a redemption arc, considering he's done literally nothing and it's been only 3 months. There hasn't even been time. Like, let's say he was to have changed, like it was 3 months later. Yeah. But we all now know, like, seeing what he's doing in real time, that he also hasn't changed simultaneously. So I don't think they anticipated that. Like, I don't think they anticipated, like, as in Bravo, that Tom would be doing things in real time in these interviews in his podcast to show us that he hasn't changed.
Completely unforgivable, 100%.
But why did we have to also villainize Ariana? And also, like, it just didn't work. It never worked. No. Every time they tried to do it, someone actually brought up, I think it was the Broad Bros, that they're like, go back and listen or watch the scenes with Sandoval versus the scenes with Ariana. And when it's Sandoval, it's like sad music and it's like empathetic. And the scenes with Ariana, it's like ominous and she's like going off and like it's so tense.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that, and also like, so we haven't seen like Tom, you mentioned before that like he hasn't had any chance to grow in the 3 months, but like I think that we have seen that Ariana, like, clearly she is kind of like working through the trauma and stuff that she's experienced, and it does feel like she has been kind of like processing these things in therapy. It does not feel like Tom has spent any time kind of like in therapy attempting to process these things. Instead, he's doing these like really like over the top kind of like wellness things in order to be like, oh, look at me engaging in wellness, and like look at me like fixing myself. I'm doing this severe cold bath thing. I'm doing this like scream therapy.
Oh god, the scream therapy, that was
releasing my inner demons.
Could like, never unsee that.
That was so awful.
And like he journals, so that obviously shows that he's a changed person. Yeah. He brings ice cream
to himself. Writes about how amazing he is to himself.
Yeah. I killed it today.
I am crushing life.
That's a really good point. And even I feel like the way that Ariana's approaching this is showing that she's grown too, like in pushing back and setting boundaries and being like, no, me growing and moving on doesn't have to mean that I give this person a blank slate who has traumatized me. Like, why is that the way to growth? Like, that's not the only way. It's very healthy what she's doing right now, and everyone just needs to leave her alone. Also, just really quickly on the whole like Andy thing. So Andy has come and kind of like confirmed this, but not confirmed it. Like, when asked about it, he was like, oh, I read that. Like,
oh, about the being put on pause?
Yeah, about the being put on pause. Yeah.
Oh,
he's like, oh, I did read that, but like, you know, I'm not an executive producer anymore.
Yes.
Like, as if he doesn't know exactly what's happening.
No idea what's going on. Oh, somebody told me, I guess.
But him too, he's like, well, he said, you know, this is kind of normal. Like, they do it on Housewives a lot. If they don't think that enough has kind of happened and they want to like give it a little bit more time. Like, it's true. Housewives, I feel like, are a little bit less strict with the times that they pick up filming.
Totally.
Which is why we get to have like different seasons and different, you know, different fights and really crazy costumes.
Yeah, exactly.
But then he also said like, oh, I feel like the audience has to remember that this has only been 3 months, and that's why, Ariana's still in like the violent rage stage. And
Mm-hmm.
someone put together online like all of the scenes of different people in the cast being like rageful, let's say.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Sandoval had like 17 counts, and Ariana
yeah.
had, I think, like three.
Three, yeah, three outbursts out of all of them. I know, and she had like the lowest, I think, with like Katie or something, and like it was Sandoval,
Or
Sheena,
Schwartz.
and
Because
oh, maybe Schwartz. Yeah, Schwartz. Because when has he ever gotten angry?
just to yell at
Um,
Katie.
yeah, literally. Maybe wants to like be pissy to Ariana or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like Sandoval, Sheena, like Brock, Lala, like it was like all these other people even before Ariana. Like it's so ridiculous. This like portrayal of her and the fact that that's still going on, right? Like the fact that it's still like, oh yeah, she was filled with so much rage, she was so violent, she was so unhinged. We
Yeah.
just couldn't believe what was
And
going on with Ariana last year.
and just wait for the reunion, because that's when you're really gonna see it, as like Lala and Sheena have been
Unleash.
saying.
Oh my
So
god.
it's so frustrating. And actually, like, I feel like as these episodes go on and you actually see Ariana kind of softening up to certain people like Schwartz, like in this most
Mm-hmm.
recent episode in San Francisco, like they're literally chummy and they're joking around.
Mm-hmm.
So why is Schwartz still on his soapbox in the after show talking about how Ariana's on this high horse and how she's so rageful, when
I
literally,
know.
on episode like 13, which is like
Yeah.
not that far into, or which is pretty far into the season, sure,
Mm-hmm.
but like in the season that you filmed,
Yeah.
she has already let you back in. So like, why
Yeah.
are you perpetuating this narrative?
I know, exactly. And that's just it. Like, especially for like the after show, like of all things, like I feel like that should be like a good time for them to be kind of like reflecting on things in this new state, right? Like we want their updated kind of like thoughts and
Mm-hmm.
feelings on it. We're clearly getting Lala's updated thoughts and feelings.
as
So you
as
would
the
kind of
wind
hope.
blows, they just keep changing.
But yeah, but you would kind of hope that Schwartz wouldn't be still like to backing Tom Sandoval. Like he did that horrible interview with Nick Viall. Like he should kind of know Tom Sandoval's shtick at this point. He shouldn't be co-signing this man. You did that last year enough. Like come
Yeah,
on.
and you saw where that got you. Like, it literally nearly tanked your restaurant. It nearly tanked
Mm-hmm.
you. Like, he went
Mm-hmm.
on so many podcasts, Schwartz, just like complaining about how he got wrapped up in Scandoval when he's not the one who
Yeah.
cheated. But
Yeah.
it's like, well, you really continue to co-sign all these stories, so you are kind of inserting yourself into this narrative.
Yeah. Exactly. I
Yeah.
know.
Your
Schwartzy.
hands are not
Schwartzy. Schwartzy.
clean.
Schwartzy. They
Your
are
hands are
not,
not clean, sir.
unfortunately. No.
Anywho, so the good thing is, it does
Mm-hmm.
kind of seem like at least they're listening, right? Like, you have to
Yes.
imagine that this is in some part also fueled by the fans' reactions to just
Mm-hmm.
not taking what they're putting down.
Yeah, that's just it. Because even like as the seasons progressed, I feel like we've had more like Team Ariana kind of like focused kind of like comments and things that we're seeing, right? Like a lot of people, like the memes, everything that's being generated that I'm seeing is pretty Ariana in Ariana's favor, as opposed to Tom Sandoval. Like I don't think that like some of the Tom Sandoval apologists that we saw like last year, we are not seeing anymore. Like I don't know what
Not
that
too
means,
much.
but
They're still there. They're definitely still out there.
yeah.
They're going to his concerts.
Yeah, they just feel fewer and further between. Maybe they're less like involved now. They don't really care as much. They don't
Yeah.
feel like the need to like stick up for him. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true. So, another reason that Vanderpump Rules is likely on pause is actually more logistical, because we know that Ariana is going to be filming Love Island over the
Hmm.
summer in Fiji.
I know that's so exciting. Both for
Yeah.
us for Love Island, but also for Ariana. That like it kind of feels like they moved this filming schedule for her, right? Like.
I mean, this is the funny thing, and this is it. So, yes, logistically she can't film. Clearly they're saying that she is a star person in this show that you need to move
Hmm.
things around for.
Yeah.
It's definitely saying something. And I
Hmm.
can't help but think that, like, what Lala and Sheena must be thinking, considering that they've just went so hard
Yeah.
trying to produce this season,
Yeah.
just for them to push it if Ariana can't come.
Well, that and like not only that too, but like the fact that Lala went on to her podcast and told Heather McDonald like I was looking around in season 11 and I was like, "Oh no, we are in trouble. The one person that this story is now revolving around has never contributed anything to Vanderpump Rules." Not
That
true.
was so
So
rude.
crazy.
Like, that was, yeah,
So
she is on an
crazy.
absolute
Yeah,
rampage.
she's on a warpath. But yeah, so like that's what she says, and then here we are, like a few weeks later, and here we are, like suspecting. Obviously it's alleged. We have no idea, but like that, like Bravo potentially moved around their filming schedule so that they could ensure that they have Ariana in season 12,
Well, that's it.
the
And I'm,
woman that's never contributed anything to Vanderpump Rules.
and it's also just like, she's just being her authentic self. Like, she's not
Mm-hmm.
having to produce things. Like, it's just such a rich comment coming from Lala too, though, because it's like, if you look
Yeah.
at this season and take Scandoval out, what do we have? Like, already
Uh,
there's so many
an
random
awkward
little
love
scenes,
triangle,
yeah, that like
like
don't,
nothing.
like,
Hippie
like
coming back.
there's the only drama that Lala has had this season is inserting
Mm-hmm.
herself
Yeah.
into things that have to do with Scandoval.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Well, and that's just it. And Lala she's in a difficult position, right? Because she can't really talk too much about her ex. She can't talk too much about her daughter. Like,
it's
yeah,
true.
she can't even show her daughter on TV. Like, yeah, she's in the midst of that kind of custody battle, and maybe that'll be something that she gets to decide on her own next season. But she does have like a pretty limited scope of like what her storyline can be. And obviously, she is talking about kind of like her fertility journey and like having a second child, but it's not, I don't even know if it's a B plot line. It's like a C plot line. It's like so
Yeah.
minor in
Yeah.
comparison to what the main storyline is, and she really is. She's just inserting herself into other people's drama.
And this is why people are starting to call her a little bit of a Lisa Rinna, because it's like,
Mm,
you can't like both not really bring much in terms of your own storyline.
mm-hmm.
Whether, okay, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt here that she can't, because she has always been someone who's been pretty open, minus all the Randall stuff. But um but like, then you can't like insert yourself into everyone else's problems and like
Yeah.
be upset if they're not handling things the way that you want to. And also just the hypocrisy of her
Yeah.
flip-flopping is like really, really frustrating. And then she
Yeah.
just goes off and like says all these horrible things about Ariana. She's now coming for the fans, that like saying that like we're dumb and like we
Mm-hmm.
don't understand, and like
Yeah. That's just it. And the thing is too, like Lala has said such a narrative this entire time, right? Like before the season dropped, when we had just seen the trailer, she was like, "Oh guys, come on. You can't judge based on the trailer. Like I'm glad that you guys are having this reaction, but, just wait until the season plays out. Like you might feel differently. I'm glad that you're engaging with it and
yeah.
whatever." Like that was her thought. And then, like the season starts airing and she's like, "Well, just you wait until the end of the season. By the end of the season." And then the season keeps on progressing and we're all kind of just like waiting for something to happen. She's like, "Well, just wait until the reunion comes out." And then the reunion is like coming down, like it's a few episodes away now, and like we're getting so close. And now it's also like, "Oh, well, like we wouldn't even have had a storyline if it wasn't for me this year, because Ariana wasn't gonna do anything." Like Lala has just been like, she's talking too much. It's
Yes.
really to her detriment.
Yes.
And I don't know, is it like overexposure? Like what's happened here?
I don't know either, and I totally agree. And I think there is a piece of that as well, like Lala and Sheena specifically, but specifically Lala, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
are just saying so much on their podcast. Like,
Yeah.
we now know that like she's not really friends with Ariana or Katie. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Sheena and Ariana are not in a great place. Like, they're saying all of these things that are letting us know what happens, so that like the season kind of feels pointless, because you're like, well,
Yeah.
why am I even watching this if you're telling me what the ending is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and that's just it. And I do actually think, yeah, I think it's working to a detriment of the actual season, because we are kind of like seeing things a little bit ahead of time almost, through the lens of the podcast. But at the same time, like I do think that the season is actually like kind of interesting to watch, right? Like I even think that the last episode was kind of interesting to watch. And I think we're just like fogged up by all this other chatter and everything else that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like happening around it. We're not just like, at least with Summer House, we kind of know what like Lindsay and Carl are thinking and feeling, and they've done like a couple little stints here and there, but for the most part, like we're not listening to Carl's podcast about the situation. We're not listening to Lindsay's
It's
podcast
true.
about the situation. Paige doesn't even really talk about it on her podcast, and I think that's, oh, I guess Sierra has a podcast. I haven't listened to
I
it.
haven't either.
Um, but that's just it. There's no other kind of like, buzzing up here that's like distracting us from this actually watching and digesting the season and
That's true. I mean, there's definitely parts that
taking.
I do like. I wish that they weren't forcing, like we talked about the Scandoval and the
Hmm.
villainizing Ariana piece, but if you took that
Hmm.
out, you're
Hmm.
right. Like there would be a more interesting thing to watch. It's just like, and I think the thing is that get us more frustrated is just like we'll watch Sheena and Lala flip flop, and then we'll be frustrated at them. Like
Yeah.
even this past episode, like Sheena, got into it with Tom Sandoval when he brought up the mistress thing, and then Ariana went and comforted her, and then you're
Hmm.
like, okay, yes, like we're understanding, like this man has not changed. He will throw you under the
Hmm.
bus at every
Yeah.
second. And then
Yeah.
literally the next episode,
So
Sheena's
sad.
like, "Oh, I love
Yeah.
you, and
Yeah.
it's fine. Like let's just move forward."
Yeah.
That happens, but then we also have to watch them double down on that at the after show. We have to watch them double down on
Hmm.
that in their,
Hmm.
podcasts. So it's like
Yeah.
you can't you like sit in your frustration and you just get more frustrated instead of just like going
Yeah.
to the next episode and like seeing what
Yeah.
happens.
And that's just it, right? Like I do feel like if I'm thinking about like old seasons of like Beverly Hills where like Lisa Rinna, Dorit, like all those kind of like characters were like on it and they were like stirring the pot and they were like being messy and like I'm really thinking back to like the season 5, 6, 7, 8, those kinds of seasons, where like it was so enjoyable and it was just housewives, like there was nothing else around it. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was a little bit of a time when they had the blogs. That's gone, that's past, we're over that. But but beyond that, like there really wasn't a huge amount of like anything to kind of get into. There's some tweeting here and there, but like it was just purely us kind of like consuming the source material, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true, and I feel like we spoke about this a little bit in the past as well. As like there is a time and a place for it. Like last year, in the midst of it, like
Hmm.
Scandoval, like everyone got very wrapped up in it. You almost
Yeah.
felt like it became part of your
Yeah.
life. It was kind of this
Oh yeah.
really crazy parasocial phenomenon, and we just like couldn't get enough of it because
Yeah.
we were detectives. We were like trying to figure
Hmm.
like we were watching
Good looking
the episode. We
things,
were looking for
yeah.
the clues. We were putting
Hmm.
the story together, and I
Yeah.
think they just like I think Bravo and also like the cast just thought that they could continue
That.
that, and
Yeah.
it hasn't worked for this
No.
season,
No.
like for so many different reasons.
Yeah, but even that, like something that they were releasing last year was like the deleted scenes, and I feel like that was actually like one of the most interesting things that we were getting during Scandoval. I would almost rather deleted scenes more than I would rather this like after show that they're now producing, right? Like that is so much more interesting to me.
Well, because that feels more authentic. Like it's just
Yeah.
like the biggest problem with this season is just it feels incredibly forced. Like it doesn't make sense. We can't understand
Hmm.
the narratives that are being told to us,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah.
um and then that kind of leads into I think another really big reason that Vanderpump Rules is going on pause is because everyone seems to hate each other.
Yeah, there's not really those like friendships that they used to have that are like tying them together. Even the like let's say that season 11, the biggest thing that is at stake in season 11 is the relationship between Sandoval and Sheena, two of the longest standing cast members. Like that's what we're fighting for, and we don't even know why they're fighting for it. Like we don't understand. Like it's not
Yeah.
clicking with the audience of like why are you trying to make
It's
this
true.
happen?
And this is one of the biggest problems is like we're being shown these storylines, but like we just don't understand it, so it's not really it's reading as inauthentic. Like we're like,
Hmm.
if the only reason Sheena can continue to tell us on why her relationship with Sandoval means so much to her is
Hmm.
because he included her in photos 10 years ago when no
Yeah.
one else wanted to include her in photos.
Hmm.
I actually feel like I've started to understand her relationship with him even less. Like I've been
Yeah.
pretty consistent when this started happening. I was like, I actually feel bad for Sheena. I think that she,
Yeah.
other than Ariana and Tom, was, and obviously Raquel, like she was
Hmm.
very impacted by this. This was
Hmm.
three of her best friends.
Yeah.
But the reasons that, like, I don't know, it's just seeing now the way that Tom treats her and things that he
Hmm.
says to her and her continuing to ride for this relationship, it
I
makes less and less sense. Like,
know. I know. I know. And that's just it. And like even then for like Lala like so in this most recent episode, we have Lala calling up Tom Sandoval to like let him know that he can't come to her birthday party. But it's like, okay, but you're extending that grace to Tom Sandoval. But the last scene that we saw with you and Tom Sandoval was him yelling at Sheena about the being the mistress thing and them having that back and forth, and you being really upset and riled up in that moment that he's done that. But now you're calling him the next day to be like, hey, by the way, you can't come to my birthday party. But like, I'm going to give you the courtesy of a FaceTime to make sure that you are aware that you can't come to my birthday party.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, that's like, what is the relationship there?
It just makes no sense. It's too much. It's so I don't understand what's happening. Yeah, honestly, all of the friendships seem a little kind of like nebulous, right? Like obviously, is that the right word?
I think so. It sounds great.
I'm pulling a Schwartz and I'm just putting like big words
Big
into
words.
my
Just insert
vocabulary.
them.
Obviously the Toms are still friends and possibly
Yeah.
going to be 40-year-old roommates.
Ugh, yeah.
Like
Whatever that is.
we have Ariana and Katie, whom I love. Like
Mm-hmm.
honestly,
Yeah.
they're opening something about her. It's officially
Yeah. It's
opening
actually
in May. It's
happening.
happening. So happy for
Yay.
them.
It's very
Um,
exciting.
but the girl group that started this season is very much
Mm-hmm.
no longer, and a
Yeah.
lot of that we kind of see, well, just from like Lala and Sheena's just like unadulterated hatred that they've been kind of like talking about. Less so
Yeah.
Sheena. If you follow kind of like the breadcrumbs that have been put out, it's
Yeah.
very clear that Ariana and Sheena are not in as good of a place as they were. Actually, like
No.
on the after show, when Andy asked like who is Sheena a better friend to, Ariana or Tom Sandoval, at the same time in unison, Katie and
Yeah.
Ariana said Sandoval.
Yep. Don't that
So
tell you something?
yeah, so that's clearly starting to, I think there's still room for their friendship to come back because I do feel like they
Yeah.
do have a real friendship. Lala is on an absolute warpath, as you said, against Ariana.
Yeah.
Um, it does, honestly, now knowing the whole pausing production and if it's because of Ariana,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There could be something there.
Like,
Like,
you think it would make it better, or you
no,
think it would
I'm
make it
thinking, I
worse?
wonder, I wonder if that is a bit of what has kind of propelled her to be talking like this in current times. Like I wonder if
Mm,
that's a bit like maybe I'm not saying I condone any of this, but maybe
yeah.
in Lala's mind, like that's money, like that's her money
Yeah.
that is being impacted. She just bought a $3 million house.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, I don't even know if they would have known much before we found out that it was on pause. And
That's
Lala's been
true.
upset way
That's
longer than
true.
that,
That
unfortunately.
That is true. That okay, so never mind. That was the only thing that I could think about, but like
Yeah.
regardless, they're pretty angry that
Yes.
if that's
Yeah.
what's happening because they're
Yeah.
basically both here trying to say we don't need Ariana.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. Oh yeah, 100%. They're like, "Oh, we don't we can get her off the show right away. Like, let's we're over her." Yeah, well, and even if like if you think about kind of like the friendships on the show, like seeing this season play out and seeing how close Katie and Lala were last season and how not like they're interacting a little bit, especially in this episode. They kind of have their most like interactions, I would say, but it still doesn't really feel like it felt last summer.
yeah. No.
Where it was just like it was so beautiful, their little friendship, and like we just have none of that this year, and it doesn't, I don't know, it's just not clicking. It's weird.
And it is a little confusing because like you can't really pinpoint where it happened. Like there's some
Yeah,
shady behavior that
we have
happened,
no
like with
information on where it
Lala
happened.
randomly talking
No.
to Joe and Katie being like, "What the heck?" And like,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I feel like Sheena and Lala just kind of decided that like Ariana and Katie are like enemy number one. Like
Not interested.
it's
Yeah,
it's
persona non gratis.
yeah. I just don't
Yeah,
understand it.
I know. Well, and that's just it. Like that would be like another thing to like bring onto the show. Like maybe they hadn't. I think that they had actually already had that fight. So Katie and Lala have had like a little altercation we know nothing about. They're filming the season. Granted, yeah, maybe they talked about it on camera and it just got edited out because it wasn't significant enough. But like Lala hasn't said anything further. She hasn't admitted more information. Katie said that she's confused. She doesn't know why Lala is so upset. So like clearly if they had had that conversation on camera, like Katie would probably have a better idea of like why Lala's upset, but we're
Yeah.
getting nothing. That's a storyline right there, right there.
Yeah.
Like that could be something.
Yeah, no, that is true. But it doesn't seem like that's gonna happen because like Lala has unfollowed Ariana and Katie, and
Yes.
apparently the reason. So I guess they must have confronted her about it or something
Yeah,
because
somebody asked her about it.
okay, because she said it's
Yeah.
because like she wanted to even out her follower account
Yeah,
like
her
number or
her. It
something.
was she had like 175, 177. She wanted 175 because she's a Virgo or something.
This okay, this answer actually bothers me for a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
A like she just always talks about how she's such a straight shooter, and it's like, let's say
Yeah.
you actually did unfollow them because you're mad at them and you're gonna lie about this,
Mm-hmm.
or you're literally doing it because you know it's gonna get us talking about it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you
Well, and
know
I
it's
think that that is what it is, but like just tell us like a reason, give us something. Don't be like,
yeah.
"Oh, I'm a Virgo. I had to unfollow two people and these were the only two that I had to spare."
Yeah, that's
Come
so it's like
on.
you, but this is the hypocrisy part, right? It's like you can't like feed into this machine and do these things and basically poke the bear, and then like
Mm-hmm.
then when prompted on it, you just give this like BS answer. Like
Well, if Keith doesn't know why I'm mad at her, then I can't tell her. I'm sorry. I think she has amnesia. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I am curious to see what happens at the reunion. Ariana has
Yes.
said, no, sorry, Lala has said that Ariana eviscerated her or something, and that, oh, no, sorry,
Yeah.
that's not right. Someone
Well,
asked, oh my god, do you know what happened?
yeah, so Lala's talked about it a little bit. She basically, it sounds like she sounds like it very much happened at the end of the reunion. So apparently they really want to make sure that you watch all three parts of the reunion. Don't just watch the first
There's
part.
3 parts. What could we even talk about for
I'm
three
sure
parts
there's
of a
three parts.
reunion?
I'm sure there's three parts. They're gonna milk this for everything they got. Um, but basically, like Ariana, Lala went in on Ariana, and Ariana fought back, and apparently Ariana just like went crazy, and like Lala thinks that like I don't know. I think that we think that we're gonna be on Ariana's side still. Lala, I think, thinks that we're gonna be on her side after this. We'll just have to wait and see.
I still don't see anything that could happen that would make us change our mind through the entire season of
No,
what we've seen. I do feel like
no.
they poke Ariana and then she probably goes off and then they're all like,
Oh my
shocked
god.
Pikachu face,
Oh my
Kyle
god.
face, Kyle
You're not
Richards.
you're not the innocent victim everybody plays you out to be, Ariana.
Yeah.
You're not,
These are your true colors that you show behind closed doors that Sandoval's always
Exactly.
talking about.
Exactly. Oh my god. Now Sandoval makes so much sense to me.
I think
Ugh.
that's exactly what it is though. Basically they were like someone said like I heard that Ariana eviscerated Lala and that they're not friends anymore. And Lala was like,
Right.
only one of those things are true. And then on Watch What Happens Live, Ariana said, I did not eviscerate anyone. So by process of elimination, they are not friends anymore.
They're not friends anymore. All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Hey, Lala,
So
can't take the heat. Stay out of the kitchen. Just
so
saying.
I hope that the break is productive. And then we've also
Yeah.
heard, different people kind of hint at or say pretty blatantly that people aren't really friends anymore. Like I think it was Katie that
Yeah.
when someone's like, "Oh, do you still hang out with the group?" and she's like, "What
Yeah.
group?" and
Yeah.
Jax
It's
Taylor
not a
I think
group.
has made reference to it like we can pick up on these things, and if you just
Yeah.
force people to have scenes together, they're not going to feel authentic anymore. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
the space will necessarily help that. I hope it
I
does
don't
because
know.
ultimately these
Yeah.
are real friends
Mm-hmm.
and they've been through, think about what this group has come back from.
They have come back through a lot. They have come back through a lot. Yeah. Well, and I think the space isn't a bad thing. I think if we think about the time between season 9 and season 10, which was quite significant, right? Like I don't think that they ever officially said that they were on pause, but they definitely had an extended break between those two seasons, and it
That's
was
true.
so worth it. Like
Why? Oh my god.
season 9 was the worst.
Season 9 was so bad.
Season 11 is also bad, but season 9
But
was the
season 9 was
worst.
still worse.
So bad.
Why do you think that is though? Why do you think they specifically call out that they're going on a break this year and they didn't the last one? Maybe because there's more people
There's more
watching and we
attention
would
on it,
we would pick up
100%.
on it.
And even the concept of like a pause is like such a thing now, right? Like that came out in like 2020 with the Dorinda medley thing. It came out with the Lisa Rinna thing in Beverly Hills last year. Like, put me on pause. so it's just more part of the vernacular, I think, than it was before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and they also probably know that we're going to talk about it like we are right
Exactly.
now.
There you go. Exactly. It worked. It was
And
perfect.
you know what? I wonder if it's also kind of their way of being like, we heard you guys, okay? Like, we heard
Hey.
you.
Yeah.
We're
Well, that
changing
too.
course.
Yeah, and like, I'm sure that, like, as like things like it's May, we're now at a place where we would be expecting that they would probably pick up pretty right around now. Um, and I think especially with the Ariana Love Island announcement, not to go back to that, but like I think that you needed to kind of make it clear, like, if this is an indication that, like, even if it's not about her, it's not about the pasta, they are still pushing back filming so that she can be there. And it's, maybe it's just a coincidence that she's going to be there. They were going to do that anyways, but yeah.
It's true. I also heard that Lisa is probably filming Vanderpump Villa in like July,
Oh, interesting.
which
Oh, that'd be a second
I haven't
season.
watched. Have you
I
seen
haven't
it?
watched it either. No, because I don't know what it's on. It's on
It's on
something Hulu.
Disney.
Oh, it's on Disney. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, then I can watch it.
I like
Nice.
just can't, like, I didn't renew my Disney subscription. Now I think I
Oh
have to watch this.
no.
I have a friend who has not watched Vanderpump, but she's watching Vanderpump Villa, and I'm like, go
Really?
back and
That's
watch
so
it. I'm like,
random.
you go into it. I'm
What
like,
a weird thing to
this
start
is your
with.
gateway. I think it's just
uh,
accessibility. There's
yeah,
only
for sure,
one
for
season
sure.
of Vanderpump
Yeah,
Villa.
it's easy. It is. It's a lot easier to start,
But yeah, I'm
yeah.
just like, ha 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 ha. Like, you
Well, that's
must
good at
go
least.
back now. Yeah, apparently there's some toxic people on there too. So
Yes,
like
yeah. Apparently,
we
one of the guys from it's not even going to go to the reunion.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Talk about some tea.
I am interested. I would love for us to go to Vanderpump Villa. That would be so
Yeah, that's
fun.
the ideal.
So yeah,
um,
maybe it's from her filming as well.
yeah, we'll
Um,
see.
I am curious to know what happened, but yeah, I'm glad that they're realizing that what they're doing right now isn't working. Because to be
Yeah.
honest, going into a season 12, I have
Mm-hmm.
no idea what that could look like. I really
No.
don't. I'm kind of worried.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, we feel like it's done.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
yeah. And the thing is, like, okay, we talked, and sorry, well, we talked about how, like, this season, in season 11, they clearly had the come to Jesus moment that Alex Baskin mentions in the Tom Sandoval article of the New York Times, that, they had to have a sit down with the cast. They had to figure out a way to be able to move forward with the season. I think the pause does very much the exact same thing. It tells them, hey, this isn't guaranteed. You guys need to figure your shit out.
That's
Like,
true.
let's all kind of come together. Let's all regroup and let's have some new perspective on this, maybe, because clearly whatever you guys are doing is not working and we cannot have a repeat of season 11.
That's true.
And if
That
that's
is
the only thing that
true.
we walk away with, that's good.
I just hope that it doesn't have the same output as last year, right?
Yeah.
Like if last year they had this like, hey, you guys got to get on track,
Yeah.
and then this is what it produced. Like,
yeah.
I hope it's like.
I think the thing is, it's more impactful because they're now not filming this year, right? Like,
Right.
Well, we don't
this
know when
summer.
it's going to pick up. Yeah. Yeah, I guess we don't know when it's going to pick up. Like, it'll be in the fall or the winter.
This, and also, like, it would just be so sad if this was the last season of Vanderpump Rules. Like, we could not end on this note after everything we've been through.
There's no way. Their ratings would have to be really bad, and they're not. They're not bad enough for that.
That's true. I mean, I think we're still gonna tune in to see, like, even what is gonna happen. Mm-hmm. I hope that the girls come back together. I hope that they actually give us that, Barbie Spice Girls season that we were hoping that we were gonna get.
Yeah.
I
hope
really
we get more yelling at the Toms.
Oh,
that's what I'm here for.
The Toms. Oh my gosh, are we gonna get? Are now we gonna get Tom's like 20-something-year-old girlfriends?
Yes. Though those girlfriends now have to hang out a little bit longer.
Yeah. All the memes online about that. Yeah, like, is no one gonna talk about the fact that these two 40-something-year-old men decide, like, when they decide to start dating again, they're dating like girls that are children. 20?
Yeah, no, apparently that's just totally normal.
I wonder if Joe's gonna be there. Like,
I don't think so.
I'd be okay with that.
Joe. The fact that they gave her a confessional, like, come
right?
on. Come on.
Oh my god, the scene this episode with her and Tom was the cringiest thing, and like, why do they keep subjecting us to this?
Bad. So bad. And like, just like the fact that he's like, and I'm maybe in 8 years I'm gonna marry her. It's like, Tom,
I
Tom.
know, he keeps making me feel bad for Joe, but then she goes on
Literally.
lives and like apparently he's kind of really mean, so
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
I don't think we're gonna feel
there's
that
no
bad anymore.
winning. There's no
But yeah,
winning.
I do wonder what's gonna happen next year. Like we have seen these groups of friends come back from pretty crazy things. Like I'm
That's just
remembering
it.
like some
Yeah.
of the older seasons have ended on absolute, I'm trying to remember the one I'm thinking of
Hmm.
specifically. One of the ones where everyone hated Jax, which is
Okay.
quite a few
Most
of
of them.
them.
Yeah.
I think, was it maybe the end of season 3? Season 3 is when we find out about Jax and Kristen, right? Hooking up. Or is that season 2?
Season 2, I think.
So
Yeah.
maybe it's that one, but I feel like it ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it ends with hey, you never feel anything, you feel this, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Yeah.
Sandoval
Exactly.
punches Jax, and it's
Exactly.
just like disarray. Everyone hates each
Yeah.
other, and then
Yeah.
I remember they pick up the next season. They're like, yeah, the summer was really healing, or like the year was really healing, and like we're all
Yeah.
in a good place again. And you're like,
Yeah.
what in the world has
Yeah.
happened?
I know. But your ability to bounce back when you're that young, right? Like,
I mean, a lot of them were still in their late 30s
yeah, I know.
or mid 30s.
Well, early 30s, early 30s, I think. It was just Jax that was older, right?
No, a lot of like Kristen when it started was like 30. So yeah,
Yeah, but
okay,
that's
they're in their
early
early 30s. I
30s.
don't know,
Yeah.
it's still
I'm not mid 30s yet,
No,
Carrie.
you're right,
Come
you're right, you're
on. Give
right.
me some time. I just got here.
You're right, I do not say I'm in my mid 30s, so I take it back.
Okay, there you go. Good, good, good.
We also at least know that we have the Valley, which is not a sentence I thought I would be
I know.
saying.
I know. It's quite enjoyable.
It's really enjoyable. So this is an example where Jax and Kristen are so messy. They
Yeah.
are but like but that is they're doing it in a way that's still fun to watch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I completely oscillate on Jax because sometimes I'm like, yeah, you are fun to watch, and I'm like, no, I hate you. Go
You're
away.
right. Maybe less Jax, and I think it's almost like I saw this online too. It's like I don't know why seeing these two be so messy is both kind of nostalgically comforting, but also incredibly off-putting.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it is more
But
scary that now
great.
he's a father.
Yeah.
And the amount of I love that his Jax Taylor's new I'm a work in progress is like I have a family. Like I am a dad.
Yeah. Oh my god, I know. It is really, yeah, they are great. They're perfect. They were bred for TV. Like they just came out of the womb ready to be on reality TV.
Especially
Like
Kristen. Like Kristen is
especially, yeah.
giving.
I know. She's
Um
so she's such an empath. She just can't help it.
it is kind of awkward to see like real relationships where children are involved fall
Yeah.
apart in real time.
Yes.
That
Yes.
part is not
Unfortunate.
fun.
Yeah.
But just some of the like honestly, I'm kind of just shocked at the pure like that one hallway scene
Yeah, that was
where it
so
was just like
good.
complete disarray.
Oh, it was
And like
amazing.
the fact that like we're not watching 20 something year olds do this anymore and somehow it's still giving this
It's
type
even
of
better.
like
We're giving
cinema.
40-year-olds out here now. I
And then
love
at least
it.
we have one couple that you're like, wow,
You're
goals,
great.
which is
Yeah.
Danny and
Nia.
Nia. They're just
Love
like the
them.
cutest family in the
They're
whole
so
world. So we're
cute.
like, okay, at least we have some like semblance of like normalcy here.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, exactly. At least that.
um,
You need one.
do you think like Lala or Sheena will go on to the Valley?
I think that, well, Lala said that she would. Like she would do it in a heartbeat. So I mean, I guess it's possible. They're friends with them. I wonder how that would change the dynamic though. Like I think that there's kind of something great about the Valley, and again, Jax and Kristen have had kind of like the experience being on Bravo taken away from them. I think that they kind of like appreciate it more now. Whereas like if Lala and Ariana and Sheena would just kind of moved over to the Valley, like they wouldn't kind of have like the same like, okay, let's reset, let's see how we do this kind of thing.
That's true. That's true. Someone also said like Jax and Christian will literally like ruin these people's lives to continue their paychecks. Like,
Yes,
it's,
yes.
like
Janet
it's
too, though. Janet loves it. Janet is here for it.
yeah, Janet, like the sniper from the side. She's
Yeah,
like,
exactly. You just don't even know.
yeah, I really
Looks
didn't
all
expect.
innocent.
I didn't expect to be liking it as much as I am, but at least we'll have
Yeah,
something. But it's not getting a
exactly.
reunion.
Is it not? I've seen some back and forth on that.
Okay, I hope it
I guess
does.
we'll see. We'll see. Even if it
Yeah.
got like a one parter, like that'd be fine. We don't need like
Yes.
a whole thing.
Exactly. So that's the tea on Vanderpump Rules on
Mhm.
Pause. What are your thoughts? Do you think this is a good thing? Are there other reasons we haven't considered why you think it might be happening? And we'll be back next week with the finale. Not the finale yet, right?
Almost the finale. I
Almost
think
the
there's two more
finale.
episodes.
Okay.
We're getting the penultimate finale.
Yeah.